Order at 5:31, Board of Public Works, Monday, January 20th, 2025 at 5:31 officially. Item number 2, approval of minutes, January 6th, 2025, Board of Public Works meeting. We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Assume not. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, citizen comments. Any citizen comments? Going a third time, citizen comments? All right, moving on. Item 4, approval to solicit bids for the renovation of Stroman Park, presented by Justin Casperson, Parks and Recreation Director. Is not. There he is.
One, two, testing, 1, 2. Okay. All right. Good evening and thank you. I'm before you tonight to seek permission to solicit bids for the renovation of Stroman Park. Essentially, what we're going to be doing is removing overgrown vegetation and landscape beds. There's a water feature, which is kind of like a little bit of a pond there. There's some benches and tables, replacing them with new plants, new landscape beds, topsoil and grass. The Stroman Park was dedicated in 1992 in memory of Lieutenant Marvin Stroman. Lieutenant Stroman died in the line of duty with the Marshfield Fire and Rescue Department in 1981. The park serves as a reminder of Marvin's legacy, as well as honoring other firefighters who've worked for the department. In the last 30 years, the park has not seen much change at all. The landscape and the planting material has kind of grown up and needs to be addressed. It's kind of changed hands over the years. If you remember, our building was there. We were housed in that building for a long time. So we had a lot more eyes on it with staff. Now that we're not there on a daily basis, we need to kind of get in there and get a little bit of a jump start on planting new material and getting a fresh start. We were hoping to successfully obtain several grants, or one grant would have been fine, but any grant totaling of up to $50,000, but we've not were successful in any of our grant applications. We applied for 4 grants and we received no grant money for that. Plus, we were hoping to get some donations of about $15,000. So the project itself was downscaled to about $35,000. We're working with a designer right now to kind of get things solidified so we can go out to bid. So when we have the bids, they're apples to apples. The money's coming from the room tax project or room tax fund, and there's a budget resolution tomorrow night. So this was budgeted in 2024, but never materialized because we were out looking for grants as well as private donations, and we held long as we could. Realizing it wasn't going to take place in 2024, we moved it to 2025 and downscaled it to $35,000. So tonight I'm seeking your approval to solicit bids for the construction of the renovation of Stroman Park and bring back for your consideration.
We have a motion on the table. Second. Second by Mr. Fire. Any discussion? All right. Then we will go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Justin. Moving on, item number 5. Award quotation for 2025 crushing and stockpiling of asphalt and concrete salvage material, presented by Tim Rasmussen, Street Superintendent.
Good evening. Each year, the City of Marshfield collects salvage materials from its streets projects. These materials are stored at our city site over on Vine and 25th Street for future crushing and stockpiling. The asphalt and concrete salvage materials are crushed to the City Wisconsin DOT specifications to be used for future street projects. On January 10th, the Street Division opened proposals for the crushing and stockpiling of these salvage materials. A total of 3 proposals were received and opened. Attached in the memo are the tabulations for those 3 proposals we received. We currently have budgeted $82,000 for this work, and city staff recommends the Board of Public Works award the 2025 crushing and stockpiling of asphalt and concrete salvage materials to the low bidder of PGA of Weston, Wisconsin, and authorize execution of a contract.
We have a motion by Mr. Fire, second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Tim. And then your item number 6 as well, approval to purchase equipment for the cemetery, presented by Tim Rasmussen, Street Superintendent.
So the City of Marshfield 701 Internal Service Fund was designed to be that funding source for all fleet-related maintenance, staff, maintenance supplies, and equipment replacements. The equipment replacements are evaluated and planned for from various departments and submitted through the CIP annually. When the Parks and Recreation Department took over the management responsibilities of Hillside Cemetery, the existing assets remained to manage the property. As those assets were needing replacement, new equipment was purchased utilizing the funding source of the 701. This process aligns with the goal of the 701 by meeting the following standards. Number 1, the ability to readily accumulate the costs related to fleet, the greater ease in costing and pricing services provided to user departments and agencies, the ability to accumulate resources to replace equipment at appropriate intervals. The existing RTV is owned by the city outside of the 701 Internal Service Fund, and all expenses associated with the maintenance are the responsibility of the Park and Recreation through the cemetery. With the replacement of the purchase of a new RTV within the 701, the Parks and Recreation Department will be able to budget more static DOT rate, which has proven to be more manageable through the budgeting process. In summary, the existing Kubota RTV is a 2013 model with 3,800 hours and has an assessment rating of 31 and is determined to need immediate consideration for replacement. The RTV is utilized for all services because of its narrow wheelbase fitting between headstones. The machine can handle material to be loaded in its rear dump box during the removal and reestablishment process. Hauling this material to a separate location on site allows to minimize the impact of each excavation. Over the past few years, the cemetery staff has made temporary repairs to the machine to extend its life, and those repairs and more extensive repairs are approaching quickly. I've attached the 2025 701 CIP list, pictures of the current machine, and specifications of a new machine, along with the equipment pricing quotes. So the first slide there shows on the M&E 5-year replacement list for 2025 of a new RTV for the park at the cemetery. The pictures do show some wear and tear from its loading process and unloading process, along with the inevitable salt deterioration of the machine as well. We did receive quotes through Sourcewell, both through Sourcewell and directly from Chili Implement for this type of machine. The Sourcewell quote came in at lowest at $22,091.22 and is what we recommend to approve. Through other cost reductions in 2024, the CIP, there were remaining funds of $28,500. Staff recommends utilizing the 2024 701 CIP funding and leave the scheduled funding for the 2025 as reserves for future purchases. The next slide does show the correction and addition of this RTV to those remaining funds in 2024 and the other items that were purchased in 2024. So the fiscal impact is $22,091.22 utilizing the 2024 701 Internal Service Fund, and staff recommends the Board of Public Works approve the purchase of the Kubota RTV through the Sourcewell contract with Chili Implement Company as the dealer for $22,091.22 utilizing the 2024 701 CIP funds.
Entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Fire, second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion? Understood. We'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion
Thank-
carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Let's go to item 7, approval of low bid for the Northeast Pumping Station rehabilitation, presented by Mark Cavella, wastewater superintendent.
Good evening. The Northeast Wastewater Pump Station was built in 1976 and serves 1/3 of the city's flow. In 2000, the station had a retrofit, which added a fourth pump, telemetry, and a new generator. In 2014, there was a partial rehab done due to severe clogging issues and equipment failures. This included replacing 2 of the original 4 original style pumps with non-clogged dry pit submersible pumps. These pumps have been in operation for 10 years now and have performed flawlessly. Now it's time to complete the rehab, which includes replacing the 2 remaining original pumps, along with necessary wet well improvements. During the design phase of this rehab, it was found that the pump's suction valves needed replacement, along with a ventilation system for the wet well. Neither of these were in the original scope, so they were added. In response to the force main leak that occurred just over a year ago, an inspection vault was added to the scope of this project. Once this vault is installed, it will allow the city to retain services of a contractor that specializes in pipeline assessments to run an inspection device through the inside length of the force main. Please note this assessment will be on a separate project that will be requested for council approval later this year. This project is listed in the city's 2025 CIP under Project 601-7416 for an estimated cost of $1,850,000. This estimate was prior to some of the necessary additions previously described, so overall project cost was expected to be higher than this. This project will be paid for by reserves from wastewater 601 fund, which is sufficient to support it. The 601 budget is completely funded through sewer user fees and not from the city's tax base. Project bids were due and open on January 14th, 2025 at 2 p.m. 2 bids were received from 4 previously approved contractors. Recommendation, staff recommends to award the project to Staub Construction Corporation with a low bid of $2,267,000 for the rehabilitation of the Northeast Pump Station and authorize staff to execute contracts.
Mr. Giles with the motion. Mr. Fire with the second. Any discussion? All right, take a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank
Motion
you.
carries. Thank you. Moving to item number 8, approval of task order 25-01 for construction-related services for the Northeast Pumping Station, presented by Mark Cavella, wastewater superintendent.
Strand Associates Incorporated was the firm approved by the council to provide engineering design services to the city for the rehab of the Northeast Pump Station. These services are now complete. The project will now require construction-related professional services for project management. Strand Associates has submitted a task order to provide these services for your consideration. The cost estimate stated in this task order does exceed city policy number 4.810, procurement of professional services. This policy states that professional services exceeding $25,000 be authorized by the Common Council to go through the RFP process. Once the RFP process is complete, the responding proposals shall be screened and a recommendation shall be made for council approval. Since this task order essentially continues the professional services previously provided, and the fact the project should proceed without delay, I propose the stipulations in policy number 4.810 be waived. So staff recommends to waive stipulations per policy 4.810 and to authorize and accept task order number 25-01 from Strand Associates for Northeast Pump Station project management and authorize staff to execute task order agreement.
Entertain a motion. Mr. Giles with the motion. We have Mr. Byers second, and we'll open it up for discussion.
Yes, this is often how projects go is you need design services, which the city went out for bid on. And when you have the design completed, then you need a contractor to oversee the project. And in the past, oftentimes that's kind of how it's gone, is that there's you go out for RFP. We did that on the Lincoln Avenue station in 2014 and the 8th Street station in 2018. And typically what we did was whoever won the RFP or bidding designed the project, and then then it was brought to the council for construction-related services or oversight management to then continue via task order. And yes, we did run it past the city attorney, and this is how he recommended to propose it.
Any other discussion?
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if I need to step down for mine since I'm vice chair, and I don't know who would take over next. I would say I didn't have any major questions. Yeah, I think my comment was kind of aligns with Mr. Fire, just in the sense of, I'm sure we're gonna have some pushback, I think, in an effort to move this forward. That discussion is gonna happen regardless, whether we do it here or at Common Council. So I'm okay approving for tonight, knowing full well we're definitely gonna have more conversation at the council. Any other discussion before we vote? All right, go ahead and vote then. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And Mark's getting his work in tonight. Item number 9, approval of wastewater equipment purchases presented by Mark Cavello, wastewater superintendent.
The wastewater division has utilized an ATV with plow for the purpose of cleaning the floors of process and storage tanks whenever they're drained. This is a necessary process in order to inspect the tank's structure and to minimize odors when the tank is empty. This method is the only way we've found to safely and efficiently accomplish this task. An ATV has the power to do the job, and it's under 1,000 pounds, so it can be safely and appropriately lowered into any of the tanks utilizing any of our lift cranes. The current 2001 Suzuki Quad Runner 500 has served us well for the past 24 years, but is becoming increasingly unreliable. Some mechanical issues are rendering the machine unsafe to operate. This equipment replacement is listed in the CIP under Project 601-7411 Vehicles and Equipment. It was anticipated as a 2026 replacement at an estimated cost of $15,000, but due to the recent mechanical problems, it would really need replacement in 2025. Staff obtained 7 price quotes from 4 central Wisconsin power sports dealers and the Sourcewell program. Unlike vehicles and larger pieces of equipment, Sourcewell discounts for ATVs are negligible, offering less than $50 savings. So staff recommends authorization to purchase the 2025 CF Moto C-Force 500 from PowerPack Equipment and Motorsports, Marshfield, Wisconsin. This ATV priced at $7,704.80 includes a plow and winch setup to meet operational requirements and represents the most cost-effective and practical solution. Replacing the existing ATV is essential to ensure the continued safety and efficiency of operations.
Entertain a motion. Mr. Giles with the motion. Mr. Fire with the second. Any discussion? All right. I will take our vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Item 10, approval of preliminary resolutions for 2025 special assessments projects, presented by Josh Moritz, Acting Public Works Director.
Thank you. The next two items really are two different preliminary resolutions, which is kind of step one of the special assessment process. Each of these resolutions identifies which streets we intend to levy special assessments on, along with the items we may levy special assessments on. So I will read through the list of streets. I do also have a map we can kind of look at. This is on the city's website, by the way. This is the 3-year, actually 4-year street work plan. What you can see on here, the green streets for the most part of what I'm going to be reading through. So starting off the list, there's an alley between Chestnut Avenue and Central Avenue running from Arnold to Blodgett. The same alley from Blodgett to Cleveland. The same alley from Cleveland to Daggy. Try to show them on the screen. So these are those 3 alleys. There's also an alley between Chestnut and Central from Grant to Harrison. Furthermore, on the west side of town, there's 3rd Street from Linden to Larch Avenue and Lee Avenue from the north cul-de-sac to the south cul-de-sac. So far, every one of these projects I mentioned are designed as or planned to be a pulverize and repave project with ditching where necessary. Just a couple here. East side of town, Apple Avenue from Depot to Elm. Also Depot from west of Apple to Elm. Apple Avenue on the north from Washera Drive to McMillan Street. Also Olive Heidi Lane and Marcy Court. Allshed Street from Veterans Parkway Frontage Road to Sawyer Drive. And I think the last one I may have missed is Dremel Court. Those are all pulverize and repave. There are 3 additional projects where we intend to mill the pavement off and repave them. So that would be Cedar from 4th to 6th, as well as 26th and 27th circles. My recommendation is to approve resolution 2025-04.
And is that and 05?
I can read through 05 quick too. 05 is for sanitary sewer projects. There's one identified on Maple Avenue from Central Avenue to 17th Street, and also Ash Avenue from 5th Street to 9th Street. That's resolution 2025-05. I recommend to approve both resolution 2025-04 and 2025-05.
Entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Fire, second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion? All right, we will vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Item 11, approval of resolution number 2025-06, dedication of right-of-way for Yellowstone Drive, presented by Josh Moritz, Acting Public Works Director.
Thank you. So this may look real familiar to you. This was brought to the board back in September. It is in relation to dedicating right-of-way on Yellowstone Drive, across from the USDA research station. And why it's being brought to you again is we discovered some typos essentially on both the resolution and the CSM itself. So the new resolution before you just kind of clarifies the dedication of the right-of-way on the attached CSM. So my recommendation is to approve resolution 2025-06, dedicating the right-of-way on on Yellowstone Drive.
Entertain a motion? Mr. Giles with the motion, Mr. Fire with the second. Any discussion? We will vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Item 12, recommended items for future agendas. Do we have any recommended items? All right. Item 13, we'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Mr. Fire with the motion, Mr. Giles with the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.